What's up, everybody? It is about early April. We're coming off of a crazy eclipse season. The US is in a stock market drop, and I think it's only just the beginning astrologically. And I'm saying all this just to give you some context of where we are in our ascension process. I'm excited to be recording this episode of The Vortex. I took a little pause in it. I'm sure you've seen, and I'm just glad you're here. I have Kylie Nell today as a guest on the podcast. She is a self-love and ascension business coach. She kind of does things similarly to how I do. And I just wanted to get another cosmic baddie on the podcast, talk about how we can lighten our frequency, integrate our codes, and really rise above for that next level. Let's get to talking. Hey, Kylie, thanks for being here.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm so glad we can finally connect.
I know where are you located, by the way? I forgot to ask.
South Africa, Cape
Oh,
Town.
nice. Yeah, nice. So
Mm.
I'm in the US and in the intro, I was just telling everyone it's like the beginning of April, the economy's a mess, the US is a mess. We're just like riding on these
A
coattails and it's
lot of
just
change is happening.
a lot is going on, but it's just so like I know it's like not I know people don't like hearing this, but sometimes like I see the chaos and I see the fear, especially if you are in America and you are directly affected by that, like not trying to minimize the impact at all. But for like you and I who work with the quantum field and this like ascension or like spirituality and manifestation, it's almost like interesting to see because it's not like actually what's going on, right? Like it's just a fear-based program. And the problems are very real. I'm not trying to minimize that, but it's so interesting, I guess, in this time to be a healer, to be a coach, to be a leader in these new age frequencies, because it's almost comical. I don't know if you feel that way
Mm.
at all, but
Mm. It's like you kind of see the underlying story that's happening. And I've been really tapping into focusing on more astrology this year. And then I like see what's happening in the cosmos and I see what's happening in the world. I'm like, but of course. So it's a very, yeah. It's like such a divine crumbling happening. But I mean, for any like a reorder to be built, there needs to be a bit of like just a crumbling that happens. And I think that's very much happening now. And it's very interesting to see like the ego dynamics at play. Like you can almost see like the wounding at play and things are also coming to the surface. So I'm like, as much as it's a very hard and trying time, and my heart goes out to those who are suffering and who experience the side effects of it, very much so. It's also a lot of honesty is coming to the surface. And I think we live in a day and age where you can't really hide anything anymore. And I think that's really beautiful. So for that, I'm excited to see what all the truth is going to bring to light as well.
yeah, I feel like too, I mean, the more I get into this journey, it's like the more I'm not quite sure that we have free will. Like in some cases we do, like we'll be
Mm.
given these like portal, I call them basically like energetic portals to entry. Like, will you jump through this opportunity? Will you surrender to your divine assignment? Like, will you move or not? And then, the opportunity will be presented later on this linear timeline. But it's like you see all this stuff bubbling up, and it's like, I just want to scream at some people, like, just like jump, like heal, like just do just follow the path. I
Yep.
know a path in some way, in some capacity is being given to you. Just like please, like don't surrender to the fear and lean into the sovereignty. I think that word comes up for me a lot, like becoming a sovereign being, like a sovereign economy of self. Like just do that instead. Please, dear God, do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's quite interesting because I find those that are resisting it, you almost see how they're stumbling even more. You almost see how, like, it's like you keep knocking your head against that wall and it's becoming worse and worse and worse. So, in a way, it's like sitting back and you're just like, okay, well, I wonder when you're going to learn your lesson and
Or I always
evolve
envision
and move
it.
through this era.
Absolute horrible thing. But I always envision it as like this brick wall that's like 4 feet across, right? And so people just are like running into this wall, and it's like just like walk around it. Like all you have to do is walk around it, but you got to zoom out a little bit to see that it's not right in front of your fucking face, and you can just walk around it. And that perspective is lost, which is why there are some beautiful people like you in this world to provide that perspective, that opportunity, that energetic portal to entry to like really chase your dreams, to manifest your dream life. So, how did you get into this work? Where did it all start?
Wow. It's
when I was born. Before I was ever, when I was a
Like
starlight,
exactly.
I signed a
When I was still like a
contract.
cosmic idea, the seed was planted. It's so interesting because I feel like this, I always knew in some capacity, and then very much this work just found me. I mean, if I had to trace it back way back when I was a little girl, I would always see and feel things. I grew up in a very religious household, so there wasn't much talk about, energies or like anything psychic related or anything spiritual. Like it was very like Christian kind of rigid.
Hmm.
And I would often see things like spirits, ghosts. I would feel them. I think they also try to communicate with me as a child because I have this stark memory. I get goosebumps every time I think about it. Where I had this beautiful glass bowl with like dried up rose petals in my room,
Hmm.
and I went through to make like tea or something in the kitchen. I can't even remember. And I came back. I was home alone. Doors were closed, and the rose petals were out of the glass bowl and in a circle on my floor, on my
Oh, wow.
carpet. And like stuff like that would happen. I mean, as a child, you're kind of like, is this my imagination? I'm like,
Yeah. Did I put
okay.
those in a circle? Why would I
Yeah, it's
do
like I
that?
can't really remember. And I would often see at night like these beings walk up and down my corridor. And I told my mom about this one or two times, and she was just always like, it's nothing. And so I kind of dismissed that part. And as I just continued in life, I just became very disconnected. Things happened during my childhood that kind of made me lose like my faith in God or that there is anything greater than us. And so I wouldn't say I was a complete atheist, but I just didn't believe. I was just kind of floating through life.
Yeah.
And this happened well up until I was about 22. In some capacity, I always knew I wanted to help people. So I ended up studying psychology. And my dream was kind of like, okay, gonna get a doctorate degree, maybe even neuropsychology, because I'm very fascinated with the brain. And that was kind of my set path. And then one thing led to the next. And when I was 21, just experienced a very traumatic event whilst traveling. I was in a very abusive relationship. It was just kind of like everything just came all at once, dark night of the soul. My
Hmm.
mom and I were like fighting. So it was mother wounding, it was family shit, it was just like
Yeah.
fucking everything.
Yeah.
And
Why not?
yeah, just absolutely
Pile it
everything.
on, universe. I got it.
Exactly. And that's when I, for the first time in my life, really experienced depression. But I
Mhm.
always had it underlying as a child, didn't really know.
Yeah.
And then that's when it really hit. And during that time, a woman that I knew for all, like pretty much since growing up, she and my mom were friends. And the one day she said to me, you should light candles. And every time you light a candle, set an intention and you can just communicate with like the universe, spirits. Because I was just going through a very difficult time at that moment. I was waiting for legal documentation to come through. Like there was just a lot happening.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever like started setting intentions
You're
and
right.
started working with the energy realm. Any case, moved through that period, got over my depression. I was like, okay, I'm fine.
Hmm.
Went back to normal life and I just abandoned it all.
Yeah. Because
And
that's a great tool then. And then it's like, all right,
yeah,
thanks. I'm gonna
yeah,
pretend
you're
that didn't
like, yeah,
happen. Yeah.
fine. I'm
Lock
fine.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And needless to say, a few years after that, probably 3, 4 years later, I started my coaching business. Whilst I was doing my honors in psychology, and I really saw how quite a lot of young women my age, especially in the fitness space, were struggling with mental health.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is something I really want to empower women with. One thing led to the next. I started business coaching. And then, literally, during that time, also went through a massive crumbling. And it was
Mhm.
literally like the universe was like, okay, you didn't come this far to come this far. I was competing in bodybuilding at the time as well.
Mhm.
Um, and bodybuilding was kind of my journey to also probably reaching my second like dark night of the soul.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I don't have any
Yeah.
willpower to do that, but I've heard that.
Amazing to teach you discipline, but shit, it's
Yeah, I don't have it.
broke me up on the inside.
Yeah.
Massive eating disorder. I was very suicidal.
Hmm.
Was engaged at that period to a very abusive man. Like just
Hmm.
all these cycles were repeating all over again.
Hmm.
And there was a moment I still remember after one of my shows that I did quite well at, won and got invited to compete at the Arnold's. And so I was like, this was my first training session back after a big show. I'm supposed to be on a high, like everything's amazing. And I was driving down the highway. And in that moment, I was just done with it all. And I took my steering wheel, and I tried to flip my car over off the
Mm,
highway. And somehow it just stopped, went all the way back. And this voice just said to me, it's not your time.
wow.
And that's the first time I ever heard anything. It's the first time I ever channeled anything or connected.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there in my car, and I just looked up and I was like, okay, like God, Jesus, whatever this is, help me heal then, because like I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore.
I can't. Well, if you're going to keep me here, you're going to help me here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's been about 7 years. Right, so seven's a
Wow.
quite beautiful number. It's 7 years since. And so I'd say from that period of my life, it's just been a continuous leaning in, surrendering, healing. And really that like quote of like I didn't come that this far to just come this far has always just kind of pushed me into exploring my gifts a little bit more deeper, my spirituality. And yeah, that's kind of how this world opened up to me.
Yeah, I mean, what a way for it to open up. You said you had never been like clairaudient before.
Mm.
Had you had other psychic gifts before, or like has clairaudience come into play more now for you?
Mm. Definitely more psychic of seeing and psychic of feeling as a child.
Mm.
And then my clairaudience came in as the years grew. And now pretty much I always say my guides, like they speak to me and I also see metaphorically. So when I'm
Mhm.
channeling for someone, it's like I'll see the metaphors and I'll see the picture and then it helps me make sense. Even
Yeah,
with tarot, I love to channel with tarot because once the cards are down, the guides just start like mists coming through and I'm like, ah, there we go. And the
yeah.
tarot never lies. So
Yeah, tarot is so like that's my newest modality. I'm not very good at it, but it is like because I see the card and I know that there's like a meaning behind it, but then it's like I don't even know why I pull the cards to begin with. I think it's just to give me something to do with my hands. But to be fair, I haven't done like a proper reading in a while, so that's interesting that you said that. Well,
yeah.
that's incredible. Like, I think that quote, like, I didn't come this far to come this far, is just it's like a propulsion mechanism. It's like the next step forward, right? Like, none of us have come this far to come this far, whether it be wherever you're at in business or life. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't the end. Like, the crisis that you're facing right now is not the end of your life. And like, I mean, it's so hard to say that to somebody who's in crisis, but it's just not. And if you didn't come this far to come this far, you're not going to feel this way forever. Like, what beauty is on the other end of this. Like what I always talk about in my program of like transmuting your pain into power. What lesson needs to be learned here? How do we evolve into that like identity of self to the highest version of ourselves? You didn't come this far to come this far.
Yeah.
There's so much more to be discovered until you find like what rings true. And that's
Yeah.
always an evolution as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as you were speaking, I just saw this in my mind's eye, like before I would say like my spiritual awakening, I can maybe just call it as sorts, and like I started tapping into my psychic abilities, life felt very flat.
Yeah.
Like even if I look back as like a child, I'm like I just see this monotone kind of picture, you know, those TVs where just like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like it felt very flat. And after just opening myself up, and I'm sure you felt this way too, like there's so much richness that has been added. There's so much depth that has been added. You know, when my husband first started recognizing, because funny enough, I wasn't very spiritual or psychic or witchy before I met him, and he just provided and facilitated a safe space.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he was like, the one day he was like, when we were on a mushroom trip, he looks at me, he's like, you're living in two worlds at the same time, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. And he's like, I'm a little bit jealous. I'm a little bit jealous.
Good for him. Has he evolved
So,
any in his like psychic gifts and awakening? Because I always feel like that's a huge thing for like
mm,
it comes up a lot. I had a reel go viral, so like 5,000 of my followers from this one reel. It's like as I manifested my dream life, my relationship got worse and worse because I was
mm,
choosing a frequency, I was changing, I was manifesting things, and he supported me. Like he provided a safe place. He's a very masculine, nurturing man, but I changed, like I changed and it
mm,
wasn't who he married. And yeah, that's like I asked for the depth. I asked to do the work. I submitted to the calling. He never like had that call. He never submitted. He was like
mm,
forced to do it. So I find, and he did, and he's great, and he's like, okay, I get it, you're happy, I love you, whatever. But it's interesting to see that like evolution of your partner too, as they kind of, I would say, evolve with you, but maybe I
Mm.
don't like my husband is so psychic, but he refuses to admit it. Like he won't. He's like, I don't want to start an Instagram. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you
Oh,
don't know
that's
what you just
interesting.
exactly knew what I was talking about. So what about like your partner? Did he like have any of those? Like, is he living in two worlds now?
Yeah, like he's connecting more to his intuition, but I kind of let him be at his own pace. I must say we symbiotically grow together quite nicely. Like he's also complete chalk and cheese to when I met him, which is quite ironic. But yeah, I'm like he's on his path and he'll get there, but he's listening more to his intuition. And at least when I do my altars and my magic, he's very supportive. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all we need. We just need a supportive king. That's all. That's all. Let me do the
yeah.
rest of it. Like you just let me be me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I love like you talked to about like being psychic as a young child. Like so many people are. So many people like you ask anybody
Mhm.
their like psychic origin. It's like, well, which one do you want? Do you want the adult one or the child one? Because I also grew up in a very religious household. We were very Catholic. I'm talking like mass 4 times a week. You know, lots of
Mhm.
the rosary on car trips. Like it was just a lot. And that is like that's a heavy religion, right? Like I think most religions are pretty
Mhm.
heavy for children to kind of understand and to like be in. And so yeah, mine were definitely shut down very quickly. Like that's not true, that's not real, you didn't see that, like no thanks. And that's, and it very quickly became unsafe, right? So that as you're
Mhm.
an adult and you have the psychic awakening, it's like, is this safe? Like I don't feel safe discovering these
Yeah.
gifts because your nervous system has already stored it as kind of unsafe territory. It's almost, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but it's almost like
No,
that
no.
that moment, the car flip and that
Mhm.
clairaudient event. It's like you have to have something to shake your nervous system,
Yeah.
to allow all this other stuff to filter through, and then it becomes, I wouldn't say rapid, but it becomes safer and you can discover it a lot faster.
Yeah. As you said that, I just wondered to myself, like, imagine more people actually surrendered to
Yeah.
like the calling and to this greater consciousness, how easier their lives would become. Because I must say that's something that I've also found quite beautiful is as I've leaned in and surrendered more to this work, like life, it's not to say that suddenly, you just take the humanness of life away and like your 3D experiences, but it's a lot easier to navigate things. And
Yeah.
like things just happen with so much more grace. So yeah, I think it'd be very powerful if more people surrendered.
Well, yeah, I think too, like, do you have children? If you don't mind me
Mm-mm,
asking. Yeah. I
mm-mm,
think too, like, that's just part of this collective shift is like, as millennials in their like Saturn return, they had the boomer parents, and the boomer parents were so disconnected, and they're just not like some of them are connecting and some of them are healing, but a lot of them are just not. And that's okay. It just is what it is. Like that is just the karmic cycle that we were born into, right? They'll probably repeat their cycle so they can learn the lessons they need to. But we were born to this one. And then as we have kids, it's like where there's all this like trauma informed like stuff, and I don't want to mess them up, and like that connection to the intuition, connection to self in whatever capacity that shows up as. I really believe that like we're changing the way that people connect to their intuition, or can like letting
mm-mm,
children kind of develop those gifts in a safe place. Like my kids ask me questions all the time about it. My youngest one, I mean, they're both really connected, but my youngest one, so connected. And like, I don't even think he doesn't even tell me about it, but he's the one that's had like this old spirit take care of him since he was a baby. I found him like flipped in his crib before because she was rocking him. I've had people visit me in the middle of the night, like while I'm nursing him. He's had like he had a fever, and he had this demon show up in his doorway because the fever was so outrageous. Like it was like, and it was like a physical representation of the fever or energetic representation. He's
mm-mm.
insane about it. He doesn't really talk about it, but I just know that it's happening. And so when they ask me questions about like death and dying and like where do we go, I'm like, okay, I don't know. I do my best, but it's like for me, it was like heaven or hell. Like, so this
Yeah,
is a very
yeah,
different generation of like nurturing and like really connecting them back to their intuition. And I just think that's so beautiful. I
yeah.
can't wait to see that how that plays out.
I was about to say it's actually really stunning to hear how you're parenting them and how you're allowing them to explore Yeah, this realm of consciousness. I think it's really beautiful. How do you explain to them like the psychic gifts and how are you opening up channels for them to connect to it?
Um, hmm. I was you said something whatever word you said, like it's so great to hear. I thought, well, you should have been here this morning as I was like screaming as we were getting out the door. I was like, get in the car because that still happens. I think like they ask a lot about like death because they
Mm.
saw their fish died and like that's usually the entry point. I know our dog is going to pass in a couple of years, so that's another
Mm.
entry point to the discussion. We talk about like your human body aging and how it's just like your vessel and it's not you always. Again, this is a 4 and 6 year old. I'm struggling to find the words to get it. I say heaven because I think it's just an easier concept to understand, like in the
Mm.
clouds and how your energy and soul is always watching over you. They have a grandmother they never met that's passed, so I use her as an example. As I get older, I think like, the conversation of like, well, where is my soul and what does it do? And like, what do you mean? Like the soul leaves, but the body stays. Conversation will come up more and more. But
Mm.
really just like I think like the 3D body and like how the body decomposes. We talk about like cemeteries and then how, but that doesn't mean that you die eternally. You'll always live.
Mm.
So that's kind of how I'm approaching it right now. I'm sure that's not 100% correct, but that's what is coming out
That's
of my
really
mouth.
beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful to hear. I mean, it makes one wonder, like, especially as a kid, I mean, what psychic experiences did you have that
Yeah.
your parents dismissed? That'd be interesting.
I think like for me it was a lot more terrifying. Like I like I would have like this dark entity at the back, like the end of my bed always with me. And then I was basically told like that's not real, you're making it up. And I was like, I think it's really real. I cannot sleep. Like I would feel like heaviness
Mm.
on me, like months and months, years. That's what it feels like now, right?
Wow.
Or I would hear things happening in the kitchen and my dad it's genetic or like more awakened timeline. So my dad was like, I hear that too. And I just remind myself that's my mind playing tricks on me and you just have to ignore it and go to bed. And I was like, I really hear somebody in the silverware drawer. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I'm making this up. But then,
Yeah.
yes, and like as an adult, it's like, oh, actually, they were also psychic. They just didn't know how to handle
Mm.
that. Because in the Catholic Church, it's like it's very demonic, or you don't know what you're letting in, or like Satan's always trying to get you like out of the path of redemption, because redemption can
Yeah.
only be found through the church. So it's just definitely interesting to see that. And then of course, when my psychic awakening came on, it was very scary. I was very nervous. It was like even to like come out online and say I was psychic was like the hardest. I thought I was going to die. Like that's what it felt like because
Mm.
my nervous system was still trapped with the dark entity at the end of my bed or shadow. I don't want to say entity, but shadow at the end of my bed that made me feel like I was being oppressed and watched. So
Mm.
that's insanely difficult to allow your nervous system to be like, that wasn't real. What's real is you're a divine cosmic being capable of channeling light. Like that's a
Yeah.
whole disconnect that you
Yeah.
have to like reform and rewire.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing the work that we actually do to release and reprogram so we can step into like our gifts and our truth.
Yeah,
And I find it what a beautiful time to be alive that we have access to the resources and the opportunity to be able to do this.
I know, right? It's like,
Yeah.
especially the rewiring. Like, let's talk about like even manifestation, right? So when you talk about tuning
Mm.
into that higher timeline, tuning into the frequency of the timeline you want to embody, it's really nice to dream of yourself and like, share your highest timeline too, but to dream of yourself as being famous and rich and like not having all your needs met and like everything flowing through to you, like this divine cosmos, like inside of you. Like, that's a beautiful image to think about, but the reality is that people will have that. And if they don't have a coach, or if they don't have the tools, or if they don't do the work behind it, unfortunately, I don't think they'll ever get there with any sense of peace and safety and comfort. Like, unless they
Mm.
are rewiring all the programs that they went through as a child, or the cycles, right? 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21. Unless you are consciously rewiring those nervous system patterns, it's very difficult to get to that highest timeline. You gotta do the work. You gotta use the tools.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. And like I like what you said, especially about if you don't do that work, it's like you may even receive the goal, you may receive the manifestation, but there's no capacity to keep it.
Right.
And then we
Or you're
start slipping
people.
into cycles, yeah, of like burnout and self-sabotage, and all these things start coupling in because your character, your skill, I always think of it, the soul and the self, hasn't been cultivated to actually hold space for that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so I think it's really beautiful that we have all these tools to be able to actually cultivate ourselves to become such magnificent human beings. And I
Hmm.
think that's why now also we're achieving things that are so exponential and are like miracles, so to say,
Yeah.
because just simply of the work we're doing. And I'm excited for it because I feel like there is this, speaking about parenting, there's like this new like a wave of conscious parenting that's stepping in.
Hmm.
And so I think just from seeing the impact it's having now on kids, like imagine just the generations from here and how they're going to cultivate and lead themselves and the miracles they're going to manifest into this world.
Yeah, or even like teaching people, like teaching kids about manifestation, like about how, like,
Yeah.
I even as you were talking, what I thought in my head was like, what about like when did this first start becoming a modality? Because, like, yes, of course, like we've learned more about neuropsychology and biological feedback and like all the rewiring. We have like the science now to help support us in like why manifestation works or how it works, right? But like, when did it start? Like, probably eons ago. Like somebody was like, I'm just gonna fake it till I make it, or I believe I can do it. Some Roman centurion was like, I'm gonna be emperor, and like, and then people were like, you're insane. He's like, watch me, and did it. And
Mm.
now it's like more mainstream, I think, which I mean, it is obviously more mainstream, but even that, like, I think when you make it more mainstream, people lose sight of the magic of it as well. And it's like, no, no, no. What if we all did it? Like, what if we all were able to
Mm.
tune into the timelines? What if we all rewired our subconscious? What if we all like manifested miracles? There is no lack or scarcity. Like, it's like
Mm.
there's so much in the vortex. Just allow it to come through.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually quite fascinating to see how our mindset and our perception of how we experience life and all that is so greatly influences everything. I mean,
Yeah.
just, like I love having this conversation with you because I'm just seeing these things in my mind right now, and I'm like, oh my God, we need to give this to the masses.
Yeah, give
Like,
it.
here's the work. Here's the work.
Well, guys,
But
guys,
it's
listen up.
just
This is a secret. If you want to change your life, start listening right now. Okay. Turn the volume
that's
up.
a true line to your episode.
Yeah. This is it. No intro needed. Listen.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I think it's really amazing. I do think there's also a massive shift happening in healing modalities though. I'm seeing it happening especially in the therapeutical space
Hmm.
where people aren't leaning in as much and they're
Hmm.
becoming more self-led, which I think is also really powerful and beautiful.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really interesting to see how even the personal development space is shifting
And thank
because
God it shifts.
I
It
agree.
needs a
I agree
shift.
because yeah, I feel like we're a lot more direct. We're a lot more to the point. We say it as it is, and that's collapsing a lot of timelines within itself. I mean, I spoke to a friend the one day, and she's been with her talk therapist for about 6 years. I told her like, what is there more to talk about? Like, you're done.
6 years. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, you're good. You have so much knowledge. Take that, create change, start empowering yourself. Like you're fine. You're fine. And I think it's also that's something that I'm seeing with the talk therapy space is how people are you using it as a crutch or are you actually using it to evolve? And so I'm interested to see how even like the therapy space is going to start shifting and how
Yeah.
people approach healing, but possibly even how psychologists and with spiritual psychology also rising, how that's going to influence the therapeutic space.
Yeah, I have several therapist clients that are just so tired. They're like, I can make massive shifts in my life using this work. And it's like, I'm bringing it to my clients who see massive shifts. Like, I wasted 5 years with this, like person who had this X problem. And I did one of the subconscious rewiring or super conscious coding. It's like, oh, that was done. That was quicker than
Mm,
quick. And there's something to be said about the magic portion of it too, right? Because we have the subconscious, we have the nervous system integration or rewiring. Like, we have the I want to call it like the base layer or the foundation that needs to
Yeah.
be done. And we can't ignore that. That needs to be done. That is very important for growth and transformation and holding the expansion and then what the capacity and level that you're able to receive at. But what I love about what I do, and I think what you do, and for many people in the spiritual manifestation space that can combine both, is that there's something magic. There's something like that
Mm.
cannot be explained, and it is unexplained. Science is getting closer to explain it, but like I'm not waiting for the research paper. I see people
Yeah.
make massive shifts, collapse timelines, tune into this version of people who weren't even able to like speak to me without getting a rash all over their body, suddenly collapse time, and then they're online speaking. It's like that's how quick this can happen if we just do both, if we allow this magic and alignment to integrate the fullness of the being, not just the 3D being, the physical being, but the energetic being as well, and allow that those shifts to take place on a massive scale. Like that's what people
Mm.
need, right? Like that's the
Mm.
work.
I agree. I agree. It's the mindset and the energetics. And like for so long, probably for the past 2 years, every time I meditated, I kept seeing the mind, body, soul matrix. And I
Mm,
just heard it chant over and over and over again. And now with like my business coaching or my self-healing like practices and mentoring, it keeps popping up every time. Like the mind, body, soul matrix. Like when we have those three in balance,
mhm.
everything works out symbiotically. It's like I've got this little octopusy tattoo on my arm, and there's three
Yeah,
flowers here. And it's again like the mind, body, soul. Like when you have the mind, body, soul in balance, you're able to navigate life. You're able to adapt. You're able to change. You're able to make decisions that are for your highest good. Like that's when you experience the richness of life
yeah.
because not only can you comprehend it and perceive it in a way that supports you,
Mhm.
you're able to navigate it, but also live in it. I
Yeah,
think so many of us are just either living on autopilot, survival mode, like we're not really connecting to life, to our sensuality, to our amazingness of being human. It's just like, okay, I just need to work until I retire, make sure I can survive, and then I'm done.
yeah. No thanks. Whew, no thanks.
Exactly,
And it's so
exactly.
crazy too, because like I see this, I mean, this still comes up for me, right? Like I know that when I live life in that mind, body, soul alignment, I want to talk more about that. It's like
Mm,
I know that when I surrender to the flow, when I lean into what's calling me and what's channeling it come through, and I allow my like roots to be in like as above, so below, as within, so without,
mm,
I know that my life improves drastically. It feels so rich. Like I can't, pure, like unadulterated joy. I couldn't put a physical English word on it in this moment. It's just resonant, right? So
mm,
why the fuck is it so hard for me to give it up sometimes? Like I am caught in loops of chaos. I am caught in loops of high achieving. I am caught in loops of like, oh, don't be lazy, get going. Like, don't sit down.
yeah,
It's like so
yeah.
stupid. Like the humans are so stupid in that capacity because we're literally running on the motherboard that was implanted for whatever our parents did 0 to 7 years old. What a time,
Mm.
what a bummer. But it is the importance of doing that work.
Yeah, yeah. And I see it as like just the beauty of the human experience in a way. It's like it's what we're meant to do here on earth. For some reason, it's what our souls chose. It's
Yeah.
what we're meant to do here is actually to sit with this human consciousness, with this human psyche
Hmm.
and grapple with it and evolve with it and disrupt it and reprogram it and rewire it. And I think that's it's so fucking beautiful. Like especially when I have my healing clients and they become agitated and they tantrum and they're like, why the fuck should I suffer with this or struggle? And like, it's part of the beauty of the human experience.
Yeah.
Like, even if I look at the days that I was so depressed, yes, it was horrible, it was hell.
Hmm.
But there's a part of me where I look at it and I'm like, well, I have the joy of meeting the darkest parts of my soul.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm like, yes, it was really shit, but wow, to experience that depth of a completely different human emotion
Hmm.
and navigate it and feel like you're coming back to life. I mean, what a gift that is.
Right.
So equally as like hard as it is, and as equally as we want to just be like, let's just delete the humanness because we keep like throwing ourselves under the bus and we keep coming up with like all these limiting beliefs and stop signs and all these things. I'm like, yeah, but it's also fucking beautiful that we get to grapple with it and rise above it.
Yeah. And of course, like it makes the joy and the happiness like that much. like that much more delicious. So I know it's like the worst thing to tell somebody when they're like really depressed. So it's like when you're happy, it's gonna feel so good. And you're like, shut up. Like, I don't care. I feel really fucking bad right now. So tell us about like the mind body soul connection. Like, what does that mean to you? How do you like, I'm seeing so many like geometric shapes right now. So tell me like what that means to you and like
Mm.
how you guide your clients through that or like what it means to find like that unified harmonic space.
Beautiful. For me, the mind, body, soul is such a beautiful representation of our self leadership. And I think of it as like our self leadership of like the human self, the self leadership of the higher self, and very much this ability to become the most empowered version of you. So when I think of the mind, body, soul, the mind, I think of like literally that is like your human programming. It's
Mhm.
yes, your beliefs, it's your memories, it's how you allow yourself to experience life. Then I go to the body, and that's like the nervous system. That's your physical being. Like it's
Mhm.
how you look after your vessel. It's how you move through life. It's the actions you take. And then the soul is obviously like this deeper cosmic divine guidance we have.
Mhm.
And when I look at integrating the three, very much when I start with the mind, I always start with the mind first because it's the easiest part for people to tap in. I'm
Mhm.
like, let's start looking at like your beliefs, how you see the world. And actually, I don't actually ask my clients to write down what did your parents say or do, or
Yeah.
like, because I'm like, that word never worked for me. So I'm like, it's not going to work for the people in my space.
Right.
So I always tell them like, look at your actions. That's going to tell you your beliefs. Like backtrack how you're showing up in your life, and it's going to tell you in relation to the things you want. Do you believe in like a supportive manner? Like, are you acting, are your beliefs in alignment with achieving that thing?
Mhm.
Or are there fear paradigms present? Are there scarcity paradigms present? Are there limiting beliefs present that we can then start to shape and rework? And when we start to actually dive into that, a lot of identity stuff comes up. I find a lot of my clients that come into my space are usually on this cusp of big change. Like it's either moms that are just like, I'm ready to claim back my life,
Yeah.
or it's someone about to pivot in their business big time, or they're just like, you know what, I need change. And I can feel like there is this almost like Jesus take the wheel moment. And I just need to go into this completely new identity and sense of self.
Yeah.
And then we always start looking at the identity, and that also comes through the body. It's like, okay, how are you leading yourself? Like, I go back down to basics. I'm like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? Like, what are you
Yeah. I know.
consuming? Yeah, it's
People
like
don't want to look
all,
at that, right? They want to look at like, where's
mm-mm.
the $10,000 hiding in the backyard that I can dig up? Or like, where's the way to
Yeah,
go viral or whatever? Like, where's the love of my life? It's like, well, like, what are you wearing? What time
yeah.
did you
And
get
I
up this morning? What time did you go to bed last night?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I find that through the mind, body, soul matrix, I almost connect people back into their essence. It's like connecting them back into life and then being like, okay, once you're leading yourself from a powerful place, your mind feels sane, your soul feels activated, you're operating not from needing validation or like, okay, once I manifest this thing, I'll feel worthy or I feel good. You're actually just in this innate state of power.
Mhm.
Then let's start creating your life. And so I range from like different tools, like hypnosis for some clients works really well. I have an emotional release therapy and channeling session I do for others, and that works really well for them. So it depends on the personality of the client that comes in. It also depends on how connected they feel. Some clients they see energies, they feel very connected to their spiritual side. So I do a lot more of my quantum work on them, especially in the beginning.
Mhm.
And others, I always say they're a little bit more 3D.
Yeah.
So then I start with the more 3D things like hypnosis and more practical work so that they can start to see the shifts. And then I find when that trust is developed, then they start to move more into surrendering to like the more energetics, and they become curious about, okay, let's start doing like more Reiki, and let's start doing more quantum energy activations and light language and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Do you speak light language?
Hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
She's like, oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Like I like in my groups, I always have like such a diverse range of clients and I love it. And it does also, it's difficult and I love it because it's difficult because I know that those who are in the 3D, a lot of my clients just feel like it's not that they're not into it, they just feel left behind. They don't really know. like how to get there. But I also know that they've signed the contract to be around all the other quantum stuff I do. And like that, even being around somebody that asks like a very energetic quantum question that they don't really understand, it's like pulling them more and more
Mm.
into that space and like acclimating their cells to that frequency.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's quite beautiful because 90% of my clients that come to me for tarot readings, it's always their first time.
Oh,
So
really? Wow.
I feel like in some capacity, I'm here to very much bridge the spiritual and the 3D.
Hmm.
Because I find often people tell me I take these esoteric concepts or these things that seem very like woo and just make it very practical for them to
Mm.
digest and they feel safe around me to do so. So I think that's quite beautiful to kind of give them that playground. And I just love to see someone's expression when I do a tarot reading and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. That's always my fave too. It's always like, yes, and this is very real and welcome.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's beautiful. Like just to see their faces light up and to see the depth of just feeling understood and seen. And I think that is so fucking beautiful. That's so
Mhm.
beautiful. So
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so where can people find you? Like, where are you on the internet, the big wide web? What you got going on?
Mhm. So Instagram is my main place at Kylie double underscore Nell. Feel free to even pop me an email. I'll give you my email address. It's kylie@newagerebellion.com. And yeah, that's pretty much where I am. My podcast and YouTube and all the things are kicking off later again this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, those would be the best places.
And what's the octopus?
Ah, the octopus.
Because it's on your Instagram too. And I
Hmm.
was like, I need to ask about the octopus. And then you said, I have this octopus tattoo. I was like, okay, I definitely need to ask.
Ah, the
Yeah.
universe is planting seeds.
Yeah.
So Octopus, I got her in December. Her name is Isis.
Okay.
And yeah, she's kind of symbolic to me to last year was a pretty difficult year. Just in our family, my dad has quite a big health scare going on at the moment. And navigating all of that, the octopus was kind of my sign to be like, no matter what you go through in life, no matter how hard it is, when you lean in, you trust, you stay connected to yourself, you can do hard things. Because yeah, I pretty much last year with everything my dad went through, as hard it was as what it was, it showed me my ability to love and give compassion. And so, yeah, Isis with her three flowers is like keep your mind, body, and soul in balance. And regardless of what happens, you'll always have more overflow to give to others. So,
Yeah. And you know, octopuses are like aliens.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
are. They're like
yeah.
so wild. Like they
So
can
wild.
change shape and swim. It's like every time you see a video of an octopus, you're like,
And you know,
that.
it's crazy. When I got Isis done, 'cause she wraps around like my whole arm.
Yeah.
When I got her done, I have a sleeve, one of the most painful tattoos. So she was like an initiation within
Yeah.
herself to get. And after I got her, I like literally had to grow into her. There were days where I just wanted to like scratch her off. I'm like, nope, don't like this, don't want this on me. And then eventually she also taught me how to surrender. So, yeah.
Mm, beautiful. So much into one little animal. I
Yeah.
love that. Well, thank you for coming on the Vortex.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
have all
beautiful. Thank
of
you.
Kylie's links in the show notes, and we cannot wait to give people just the blueprint to success. If you want to listen to an episode, listen to this one. Have a great day.